Welcome to Brunch with Besties podcast. I am Sherry Renee.
And I'm Chanel.
Our mission is to heal and help others as we heal and help ourselves through purpose-driven conversations.
Yep.
Today we have a lot on the menu.
We do.
We have a special guest here with us today. We're going to talk politics.
Yeah.
But before we get into all of that, we're going to start like we always do with a toast.
All right. So I'm going to give my toast to the Podding Out event yesterday that I went to. So when this drops, yeah, it'll be yesterday. It'll be Friday. I'm like, what day was it? But no, shout out to Sweats and Suits podcast, TZ Talks podcast, Most Known Unknowns podcast. Please forgive me if I forget anybody. 72 and 10 podcast. Technical File podcast, and Brothers to the Night. They're from out of town, but they were here this weekend, so shout out to all of them. If I missed anybody, please charge it to my head and not my heart. But it was a really funny event, and I didn't know that it was going to be so much like Wildin' Out. So if you ever watch Wildin' Out, they kind of do like improv and improvisation and things like that. But the podcast did a really good job. It was very entertaining.
Was there a winner?
They did not say a winner. They were like, well, we're all winners. It's kind of how they ended. But I think the black team, yeah, I think the black team, I would have chosen them as the winner, especially when they did like the wild style at the end where they kind of like freestyle and kind of rib each other. But the black team, they was on it. They did a really great job. So shout out to everybody who was involved with that. It was very entertaining. The people were out. It was just a fun, different kind of podcast type of event. So it was really dope. I'm glad I went. So it was fun.
Awesome. My toast goes to Miss Blossoming Flower.
Oh, yay.
So she inspired this episode.
Yes.
We sent out something a little while ago saying, what should we talk about?
Yes,
and
she was
came
on it.
with the list, child.
Yes, she was on it. We were like, dang.
Like, we need to step our game
on the
up.
real. Like, we need to hire you.
Right.
Be our content manager.
Right.
Goodness.
But one of the things that she talked about was the importance to vote.
Mm-hmm.
And we wanted to get someone in that could speak intelligently about, you know, our civic duty and what it means to vote and why this election was so important. Unfortunately, it's after the election.
Yeah.
But nonetheless, still a great conversation that needs to be had.
For sure.
Our guest today will discuss.
Yeah.
We'll discuss that topic. So shouts out to Miss Blossom and Flower for, number one, being a great listener.
Oh, love her. Yes. Love her.
And also for coming with the great content ideas.
Yeah.
Yes. So, also, my toast goes to this guy was like following me today.
Wait,
it was kind of strange. I was scared.
Okay.
Yeah.
I need to hear some more because you said he's following you.
What happened was I was on the expressway. Well, this is when I noticed that he was following me. So I was on the expressway. There was a big van behind me. I didn't really think too much of it, but I got off the expressway. He got off the expressway. There was a bunch of construction. I was trying to go to the bank, and I had to kind of maneuver around the construction, so I had to go up and around basically to go right next to where I was, and he did all the same moves.
Oh.
Then while I was at the drive-thru at the bank, he sat in the parking lot next to me, like the parking lot next to the bank.
Okay.
And then when I pulled out, he pulled out behind me, and that's when I was like, okay, you're definitely following me?
Yeah.
Because you literally just sat in your car while I went through the drive-thru.
Right.
So yeah. So then I had to, whip it.
Yeah.
When I was in the car, and I went a bunch of extra places. Like I drove all out of the way because I was like, what you can't do is come to my house. That's what's not going to happen.
Oh, no.
So I had a little scare, but I'm glad that I noticed that he was following me though. So I'm thankful for that. So yeah, I don't know where it started.
Okay.
But I know where it ended.
Okay, yeah. So he stopped following you at some point.
Oh, I completely ditched him.
Okay, so I thought it was going to be like a happier ending where he got out to be like, well, your tire's flat or something. I don't know. But that's odd.
No, so I sat there. I was literally in the self-service drive-thru.
Yeah.
And I was just trying to deposit a check. And I noticed that he was in the lot right next to me. And I was like, that's the same van. Because I thought that it was weird that he did all the moves that I did. Because like I said, I literally had to go up and around just to go right next to where I was trying to be because of the construction. And so I'm like, why is he... And then I was just like, girl, you tripping. And I got back to what I was doing. But then when I saw that he literally just sat there and he was watching me.
Yeah.
And then when I pulled out, he pulled out. I was just like, yeah, this is a little bit much.
Yeah.
So... Hey, I had to do what I had to do.
Girl, listen,
when
I'm
I
glad
tell you
you
that I was
whipping
dipping
it.
and maneuvering and doing a little bit, slight illegal things.
Hey, thank God.
But I just wanted enough distance between us because I was like, And then I drove like all out of the way just to make sure
Absolutely. And thank God you were aware of your surroundings. I think as women, sometimes we get lost in whatever we're doing, running errands and stuff. And you could have easily gone home and he would have absolutely followed you to your house. So I'm glad
I was just like,
that you were like, nope, let me swerve left,
swerve
right on
Shouts
this.
out to all the tracks from the 99 and the 2000.
Right. Thank God for traffic in Milwaukee for helping us with our whipper's license.
Yes. Okay.
That's really
like,
scary.
I mean, I maneuvered like never before. Like I legit just drove on the other side of the road to get in front of some cars because I was like, what you not gonna do?
Right.
Because I don't know. And then because I was thinking like, oh, what if like I know him or something? But if that's the case, then while I was sitting there, and you were just sitting there watching me, you could have waved, you could have rolled down your window and said, hey, Sherry Renee, right?
And that's what I was thinking you were going to say.
But you ain't do none of that.
Yeah,
so,
that was weird. And thank God that you did that.
Ladies, just be mindful when you're driving or whatever you're doing. You know, just pay attention to your surroundings.
Be careful for sure.
Because you never know what people's intentions are.
You don't. Wow. Thank God. Because, we have to get you a conceal and carry. Because now I'm worried.
I don't want to conceal and carry.
You're going to have to go to the class with my mama.
I'm scared. I don't want to.
Sometimes you got to pull your piece out on people.
But they say that typically what happens with that is more often that you accidentally like shoot somebody. I can't do that.
Because in fear, once you're scared like that, adrenaline, like who knows what would happen. But did you take like any license plate? Like, did you see any plate numbers?
No, but that's what I was concerned about because I have pretty unique license plates and things like that. So I was like, I hope that he doesn't learn like where I work or anything like that because stuff's on my car.
That is so creepy, man. Like, sir, like, why?
Yeah.
Well, thank God, praise God, and God is good all the time that, things turned out the way they did.
Awesome. So, let's break bread. What's going on, girl?
Man, nothing. My life is really, I don't know, too much of nothing is going on. We got through state meeting. I think I talked about that last time, so... I think I share. My Zeta mentor is the Wisconsin State Director.
Whoop, whoop.
Yeah, she asked me to be her Wisconsin Executive Assistant.
Whoop, whoop.
So yeah, thank you. Whoop, whoop. So working alongside the State Director and seeing Zeta in a bigger platform is definitely awesome. And we had our state meeting last week, and we, all the so you had some questions too about sorority because our sororities do different things differently. So what our state meeting does is it brings all the chapters, undergrad and graduate chapters in Wisconsin together for one conference. So it was nice to get to talk to sorors from different chapters, and we kind of really had a kind of a heart-to-heart type of forum where people got some stuff off their chest. Sorors got some stuff off their chest. So it was good to have that conversation and how we can apply it moving forward. So that was really awesome. And I will say, my chapter that I'm a part of, Kappa Beta Zeta, will be hosting the regional conference here in Milwaukee. So be on the lookout for that because I want people to come out and, show up and support. Yes. So I'm excited to be helping out with that. I'm sure I'll be busy that weekend, but it's going to be worth it. It's going to be awesome.
Yeah, make sure you let me know when that is so I can put it on my calendar.
For sure. Sure will. So
I can be in attendance.
I can get the dates after this. So yeah. Because we already got it set up.
Yeah, so what's going on with me? So, still enjoying No Work Friday.
Yes. Hell, y'all. Come and get her. Every Friday, I'll be like, this girl is doing
I gotta act
much.
brand new every Friday.
Brand new.
Because I know during the summer, you're going to be wilding out. Listen. So I just got to get mine in while I can, Because I know come the summer every day, like you gonna be texting me back to back, and I'm gonna be like, "Bro, aren't you at work?
I know,
like, get a job." No.
Like, dude, I'm in a meeting. Right. What you doing?
And then you gonna be like, "Let's go to happy hour. Let's do this."
I swear,
like,
it's a day party today. Right? Let's go.
And you gonna be to the beach, and I'm gonna be like, "Bro,"
and you gonna be like, "Block out my afternoon."
I Surely.
Like, what you wearing?
Right. I'm gonna be like, just let me take off this blazer and I will be right there.
Exactly. So it all work out there.
Right. It'll all work out at the end. That's funny. But you know, there's moments of like jealousy, you know, because I'm gonna be sitting there in a meeting and you're gonna be like, so what you doing? And I'm gonna be like, huh.
Girl, no, this Friday I was salty though. Because I was tired. I got my hair braided the night before, as I went to bed like super late. And then I had to go to work, and it had snowed. Like, this was the first snowfall that we had gotten too. So I'm like, oh my God.
And so that's funny because this morning when I woke up, I was like, it snowed?
Yes.
Because I had no clue.
I was so upset, and I'm like, this girl is in her bed. So it made me think about when we were in college and we were roommates, and you would always look over to me and be like, she all sleeping peacefully, I gotta get up and go to work.
Man, that was hard times, man.
So that made me think of that, like, dang, this is payback like a bud. Like, she at home chilling, watching Fire Stick, like relaxing.
And when I tell you that I watched everything, like, I'm like, maybe I should slow down on my binge watching, because when we have shutdown at work,
oh, you ain't gonna have nothing to watch.
I don't know what I'm gonna watch. I'm probably gonna have to start like a whole new series or something.
Listen, you might have to. A real good one.
I'm gonna be like, what's everybody watching?
So you got caught up on How to Get Away with Murder.
Yep. Yeah. Grey's Anatomy, How to Get Away with Murder.
You caught up on Grey's?
Everything.
Dang.
Yes. Like, there's nothing, Housewives of Atlanta, like, there's nothing that I haven't seen. Yes.
Dang. Girl, yeah, you've been getting it in.
You know, when you start binge watching, you become committed.
You do.
Like, you feel like if I try real hard, I could get all of this done today.
You do.
Like, you go the extra mile and everything.
You stay up. Like, you really be committed.
You really do.
That's how I am with This Is Us right now. Like, I'm really like, okay, I gotta get this in.
Maybe that's what I'll do during break, is This Is Us.
Oh, girl. See, yeah, I'm really... But This Is Us kind of reminiscent of Grey's, where I kind of got to give my heart a break, because it'd be too much. Like,
yeah.
Who thought of this, y'all? Like, who's writing this?
Then I start watching random stuff like Blackish, Modern Family.
Yeah.
Like, I was like, oh, I missed 2 episodes?
Hey.
Oh, let's get those in real quick.
Catch up. You gotta watch Top Chef. I don't know if you like into reality, but that's my thing. Like, start with season like 4. It's good.
So I'm into ratchet reality.
Okay.
So I don't know about Top Chef. That sounds too sophisticated.
No,
I need like a mental break. You know, when I be at work all day, like, that's a lot of stress. So I need like Housewives of Atlanta.
Hey.
Right. You know.
Hey.
I need what's the other show that I watch? I can't even think of what it's called.
Wait, it's ratchet TV?
Yes.
Like Love and Hip Hop?
Yes,
yeah.
Hollywood.
Yeah.
So I caught up on that.
Okay. Mm-hmm. See, I don't watch none of them shows.
Hey, do you want a mental break? Because then you're like, oh, this is your life? Okay.
See, my thing is Top Chef. Like, I really be like, I'm going to watch this. It'd be good. So, yeah.
So, yes, I've been doing that. And then I was so close studying for my exam.
Yes.
So, my exam was today, and I took it and I failed.
Yeah.
But, you know, I'm going to go and take it again.
She is.
Hey, that's what winners do.
Absolutely.
Right?
And, hey.
When at first you don't succeed, or in this time, when at second time, if you don't succeed twice.
Third time's a charm.
You just get up and do it again. No. And then you just commit to doing it until you pass.
Until you get it. And so, third time's a charm.
For this certification, there is 5 exams that are needed. This is exam number 5. So I just feel like I came way too far.
Listen.
So it's exam number 5. So
that's the boss level. That's all that is. It's just challenge.
I'm just gonna schedule it again, sit for it again, take it again, and probably study a little bit more.
There we go. And I was holding her accountable, y'all, like, every day.
Every day. Sure. Like, I was like, dang.
I was counting down the days too in there. Like, okay,
3 days to the exam. Yeah. 2 days to the exam. And I was like, I know.
F that exam.
Right. I did say that a couple times. But then I was thinking, like, poor JR. Like,
hey, in my house, I can't be an educator and let you slide. Like, no, you gotta get this study in, bro.
True indeed.
So,
True
yeah.
indeed.
So, we gonna try it again. Third time's a charm. I feel it. Like, this is it.
It's gonna have to be.
It's gonna, right. Because I can't commit to this time and sitting here doing this again. So.
Right. Because I had already pulled out my books for another certification.
Oh, Lord.
And I was like, yep, after this, I'm about to start hitting the books for that. And then I went and failed, and I was like, oh,
dang.
No.
Dang. This again.
Right. I don't even like this. Like, what is this?
It's all good.
I was ready to move on.
So send Sherry Renee some positive vibes and encourage her and hold her accountable too, like I am, and make sure she's studying so she can get this certification under her belt.
Yes, it's time to be done with this by the end of the year.
For sure.
So,
yep, and we only got about not that long. Exactly. The end of the year is like tomorrow.
Exactly.
So, yeah.
Right. So what's going on with you?
what did I say? I already said
mine.
You
already did yours? Okay, sorry.
I don't want to go through that again. Because it's not that interesting. So, yeah.
Alrighty. Well, now it's time for the tip.
With a name like Chanel, I had to find my Chanel items. And now you can find them too on Poshmark. Instead of buying things new, you can shop from millions of closets across America. Download the free Poshmark app. Poshmark carries women, kids, and men. Poshmark has tons of brands to shop from, including Chanel and Michael Kors. You won't believe the deals you'll find on Poshmark, just like the Chanel frames I found for only $100. Poshmark is the easiest way to buy and sell fashion items. Shipping is easy for both the seller and the buyer. Super fast shipping. See something you want? You can make the seller an offer. You can find me and shop my closet at cwarren0104. It's like Black Friday every day on Poshmark. They offer designer brands like Louis Vuitton, Michael Kors, Tory Burch, Chanel, and more for a deal. Listeners of Brunch with Besties get $5 off your first purchase. Just enter the invite code BWB, as in Brunch with Besties, the number 5, when you sign up. That's invite code BWB5.
And now it's time for our favorite segment.
Yay!
Tea time.
Yes.
We have a special guest here with us today.
Yay.
One of Chanel's sorors.
Yes, and I'm so excited that she's here. We've known each other for a really long time. A real long time.
Yep.
And this is my soror, Nadiyah Grove. So welcome to Brunch with Besties. We're so glad that you're here. But yeah, I met Nadiyah when I was an undergrad at Marquette. And yeah, she definitely brought me to the Zeta light. So I definitely owe my Zeta-ness to her here because she kind of took me under her wing. And here I am today being Zeta. So
yeah, and now y'all are both on a mission to make America blue again.
Absolutely. Come on now. Always. Listen. But no, she's just an amazing, amazing woman. Definitely someone I've always looked up to. She has a beautiful daughter who's super cute. And she's just out here doing really big things. So, most recently, she has been doing a lot of work with the newly elected Senator Tammy Baldwin in Wisconsin. So congrats on that. So yeah, that's why she's here today. She's going to talk about voting and her purpose in life. We'll definitely touch on that. And, why it's important for us all to vote and why it's important to elect women in these offices, which is important.
Yes. Yeah. All right. Miss Nadiyah, anything that you want to add to that introduction?
Sure. Thank you both for having me here today. When I first walked in, I said, wow, such a phenomenal setup. And I am honored to have been asked to join you ladies today. I think you got the gist of it. What I did do for this particular election cycle, I served as Deputy Milwaukee Director for Senator Tammy Baldwin's reelection campaign. And wow, it was such an amazing ride for me, for my life. This is throwing me on a trajectory that I wasn't expecting, of course, but I'm open to it. And I've loved every step of the way. There have been some challenges. We'll get into that.
That's the real tea.
Right. That's it. Listen, we're going to be ready. Listen.
But overall, I am just in awe of the political life and being a part of it, having just been a part of Tammy's journey, because that's what I bought into immediately was her story. And working for a candidate, you really have to believe in them. You can't just be out here selling your soul like some people do.
Right.
Girl.
But you have to fundamentally believe in that person to embody their mission. And right off the bat, I connected with her. She had a story about her mother and the reasons that she got into running for office in the first place. It was very similar to mine, so I feel like a lot of people put up this wall of, black and white people working together, red flag immediately. It just goes deeper than that. And one of my mentors I looked up to always compliments that there's far more that unites us than divides us. And just hearing Tammy's story about how she grew up with her grandparents, and the reason why she got into running for office was because of healthcare and things like that. I was like, yeah, she's a real person.
Yeah.
Like a real person. And I've always, I don't know, as long as I can remember, my dad is quite the militant person. He's in the Nation of Islam, and you know, he always encouraged us as young kids to just stay woke. And you know, just having that background and coming full circle to, like, you know, someone asking you to work on their campaign, I was cognizant of that, and I was emphatically on board. Like, we're at a time in our nation where everybody needs to be a part of this direction we're going in, and you could either be on the right side of history or on the wrong side. So long story short, I said yes, and I joined the campaign late February. March 3rd was like my first day, and here I am.
So
Awesome.
where did you start? So what did you study in school?
Yeah.
Girl,
Take us back. Yeah.
I took the college tour of all the colleges.
Me too. Hey.
For real, there's some of us out there. I wanted to be an engineer. Like,
Okay.
First out of high school, I went to Tech. Go Trojans, purple and white. What it do? But anyway, I wanted to be an engineer so bad, and I just knew that was my path. Like, I don't care what it takes. I'm going to be an engineer. So I went to Milwaukee School of Engineering.
Okay. MSOE?
Yes, MSOE. Mosey, as some people call it.
I was like, what?
That's the worst.
That is
worst
hilarious.
nickname ever. But I went there and failed out miserably. Like, I had a scholarship full ride because I was like 7th in my class in high school.
Yeah. And you were a girl in engineering. I'm sure that was like, what?
Were you a part of NSB at all?
I was part
Hey,
of
NSBE, for solid, for life,
yes.
forever.
Sherry is
she on it.
Yes, because NSB, no shade to Zeta, that was my first, like, intro to, like, fraternity and
Yes,
They're
mine
a
too.
real life family.
Yes, me too. Yes, same here.
Man, the love that you got from NSB, the support,
The conferences.
Freaknik for engineers.
It really is.
From what I heard,
really
I
is,
mean,
man.
I heard somebody was cutting up in Vegas.
Yeah,
but I ain't gonna
man.
say no name.
It's,
Okay, what happens in Vegas
hello.
stays in
I mean, the
Vegas.
opportunities from the conferences are absolutely amazing. I got 2 internships just from going to 2 national conferences, one for John Deere and one for UPS. So, like I said, I wanted to be an engineer. But, you know, life happened. Like, my parents got divorced. Some things went down, and it got to a hard time for me. So, failed out. I transferred to UWM for a little bit. That was my second leg of my college tour. Went to was in NSB there as well, but it wasn't the right fit for me. UWM was just, it was so different from MSOE. Messed up again. And then I went to Mount Mary.
Thank
Third leg.
Thank God for multiple schools.
Hey.
And for third chances.
Hey.
Won't he do it?
Won't he do it?
Third chances. And that's actually because I had been exposed to Zeta at UWM, and I just felt it still in my heart when I went to Mount Mary, but Mount Mary didn't
Deep in your heart, you still bleed.
Yes.
Like,
You know,
where
she
are
bleed
the
blue.
Zetas at?
Hey,
Where are
listen.
they? Where are they? And I didn't find them there, but I actually became a Zeta when I was at Mount Mary because of the
Citywide.
Yep.
citywide
Yep.
chapter, Lambda, throw your L's up. Yeah. And, you know, that was 2004. I didn't go back to school again until like late 2005. And I just was on this like bumpy road of academics for me. I think it was I'd get in, but then the money situation would just mess me up every time because the financial aid wasn't enough. And I was working part-time jobs that wasn't enough for tuition. And it was just like a vicious cycle. Like I just kept getting ahead of myself with these loans and these just tuition payments. So I eventually just said, you know what, school needs to be on hold for a little bit for me. Like, I just need to chill out with that. And along the way, I found some amazing, professional opportunities. I worked in human resources for a few years. I worked at the medical college as a event coordinator, like for faculty affairs. So that was like my first like real job. Like, ooh, y'all gonna pay me?
Right.
So I got work.
Right. I get a salary.
Right. Like, I get a check. I got benefits.
Right. All that.
I had just had Kayla at that point. So it was a blessing to have been just embraced by the MCW family. But having her also woke me up to the challenges of being parenting alone. Like her dad lives in Illinois, so that's when I actually relocated for 2 years to Indiana. So I was just across the border from him because I was like, I need help. I can't do this by myself. So I ended up moving back because Indiana blows.
Girl, listen, that's how I felt about North Carolina. Like, I just want to come home because this ain't gonna work.
Woo, I worked at Purdue, which was another amazing opportunity.
Yes.
So that's what led me every step of the way, was like all these amazing opportunities that I just took the chance on. Like, I stepped out on faith and said, yep, just go for it. Just apply for it. They're gonna love you. And they would love me. So I'll be like, oh, great. Oh, what do I do now? And just, I just try to shine my butt off.
Yeah.
Like, do my best. And moving back home, I got a job at MSOE.
Okay.
Wow. Full circle here.
Right.
So you was like, yeah, y'all want to flunk me out. I work here now. Y'all got to pay me. Before, I was struggling to pay y'all.
Hey,
but now y'all going to pay me.
But can y'all take a little bit of these loans?
Right. Hello.
Take them back.
Sprinkle some off that.
Man.
Shoot. But that's what eventually happened. I started working towards my degree again.
Oh, nice.
And
As an employee.
As an employee.
And then they paid for it. Won't he do it?
Look at God.
Girl.
Won't he do
Full
it?
circle.
Full circle. So that allowed me, because during that time at MSOE, I fell in love with coding.
Yeah,
like
okay.
Programming and...
Because that's what I was going to ask, because you were doing Black Girl Code.
Yes.
Okay.
I started this little entity called Code 24.
Yeah.
And it's reminiscent of my background growing up on 24th and Center. Like, if someone hadn't given me the exposure and the chance as the little girl on 24th and Center, like, I wouldn't be here. So I just put code in the name, but 24, because I always want to remember 24th and Center. That's where I came from. Of course, I do it for the hood. I do everything for the hood. And, just the relationships that I've built up until then, having worked on previous campaigns, volunteering before, I met the amazing Sheila Cochran in 2016. And, I just was enamored with her. She's the previous president of the Labor Council, Black woman, formidable, just a force. And the most politically savvy person you could ever meet, down to earth. She actually was part of the leading efforts to take Scott Walker out.
Okay.
So
the first time.
Time. Yes. So when he came out with Act 10, she was the one leading the charge with that. Her and Phil Neuenfeld, who actually just passed away recently. R.I.P. Phil. So she kind of exposed me to the world of labor, how they played into politics. And unions are powerful. And having taken away the foundation of unions with the Act 10 that Scott Walker basically passed, it was decimating to unions here in Wisconsin. So under her tutelage, just being around her, I learned a lot more about the political life. And she was tapped on the shoulder by Gwen Moore when, Tammy announced her reelection. And Sheila, she could have picked anybody in the world. Anybody in the world. Because she was asked by the campaign to be the Milwaukee director. So all things Milwaukee went through Sheila. She could have picked anybody in the world to be her deputy. And she picked me.
Oh, wow.
She was like, I need you to do it.
See, I'm having a moment because I'm always like, you never know who's watching you. And I've definitely been having that moment.
That's true.
That
and you was
never
like,
know.
I want to thank God, my mom,
Listen,
MSOE,
24th and Center.
24th and Center.
Everybody.
Zeta.
Yes.
And,
Nesby.
Right.
Everybody.
I'm such a proponent of like, I don't believe it's just things happen for a reason. It's just like you really have to have faith in your decisions. Like you really just have to be like, you know what, I'm gonna do this, and whatever comes of this, comes of it. Like that mustard seed faith, whether it's just something big or small, every connection you make is so important.
It's a purpose.
There's a definite purpose behind it, and I think all those jobs that I've had before were preparing me for this role. I used to be so scared. Like, I couldn't do this. Talking on this right now, I'm such a background person. Like, I love giving accolades to other people because I think people are so amazing, especially when they find their purpose and know what they want to do. And I just feel like we should always lift each other up, right?
For sure. Yeah.
But I was neglecting myself. Like, I would just be like, no, I'm okay.
Listen.
I'm good. But I started, and I learned it from Sheila, actually. Having that just, you better hold your head up high, black woman.
And turn your light
and
on.
be who you
are.
And be this beacon of light.
Right. Come on.
People.
Turn that light on.
They need your experience. They need your story.
Yep.
They need you to come out and talk. Because we just knew that there was something about us that we wouldn't be on this campaign if they didn't need something from us. And of course, it was Sheila's connections, her impact on labor and everything. And I was like, well, what about me? What's special about me? She was like, you're Nadiyah. Like, you've done just about everything in this city. Like, you know so many people. You're a mom. You know, it's your experiences, your story, your passion for people is what we need. And I said, you know what? You're right. You're right. I am special.
She was being your mirror, and you totally needed that mirror to see what we all see in you. You needed that reminder. Yeah. That's awesome. I'm glad she was able to pull that out of you because sometimes we do need that reminder. At this point, were you still working at MSOE, or
I
you
was
had
not.
left?
No,
okay.
Actually, I had left MSOE. And it wasn't left. It was like they let me go.
Oh,
and
okay.
at first I was really like ashamed about letting people know that. But I'm glad they did.
But God is good.
Hello.
Listen.
So
there was a purposeful reason for that happening.
There
for
was.
Sure.
And I will cherish everything that I got from MSOE. And I met some amazing people there, too, just being on the other side as a student and employee. But like I said, it prepared me for this. It certainly did.
And God was like, you got everything you need.
Right.
Now, next step.
Come on.
You're fine.
Come on.
Open your wings because we're
Right.
about to fly again. So come on.
child.
Listen, come on.
And
So
you was like, no. And then he like pushed you. And you was like, all
Mad,
right.
fighting the air like Trey.
That is funny.
And then you ended up flapping. And you was like, oh, this ain't too bad. And then you start soaring and whatnot. No,
Soar. Come on.
Yes.
Bringing it back. I love that. So you started in engineering, and then you kind of went into coding, and now you're working for kind of labor, kind of stepping into this political field. Where do you feel, are you feeling most comfortable here, or are you feel like you're really walking into your purpose right now?
I feel like both. This was what I was, I guess, afraid of before. I was always like scared of being the front-facing person or a person that's, excuse me, in charge, I guess. Like, I think I have great supervisory skills. Sound like a resume. But
like this is not an interview. Well, it kind of is.
Right.
So, as you were.
You never know who's listening now.
Right,
Listen.
right. But like I think just because I've always been politically savvy, like this is what needed to happen for the Code 24 to be more prosperous or, you know, more engaging in the city, was knowing about policy.
Yeah.
Because that's another thing that I've always been passionate about. I've always been passionate about, like, just poor black people. I'm a poor black person myself. And I think that that's why we're in the conditions that we are, is because we lack the knowledge and know-how of policy. My pastor says it best: we live by faith, but we exist by public policy. Like, that's why things are the way they are. It's designed this way, and it's because there aren't a lot of it's not a lot of representation of us in government, in policy making, and lawmaking, and candidates that are running, campaign managers that are running. I feel that that's what's going to, like, intertwine for me, for my purpose, is like learning the background and learning what needs to happen on the lawmaking side in order for actual effectual change to happen on the other side. Because you can get grants from these neoliberals all day long, but if you're not changing actual law to say, like, look, this needs to be in place for our students at MPS, or this needs to be in place for the mothers struggling out here, nothing's going to change. It's going to keep being the same.
Dang.
Yeah. And I totally agree with that. I think that as a community, a lot of times we just are impacted by politics and we just deal with it, but we are not engaged. You know what I mean? We don't know what to ask for and how to ask. You know what I mean? So I think that obviously this election, and when Barack Obama got in office, right,
for sure,
we had some big turnouts, but
that's it.
But that's
it for sure.
But that's it. And even now, and even then, a lot of us don't really know what we were doing. We were just like, okay, there was a call to action. Yeah, we got a black president elect, so we gonna show up and get him in. And then Barack came out for this election and said it was important. And he said, just like how y'all came out for me, come out again.
Yeah.
And I think that's the focus that we need to recognize, that these midterm elections in our state, or like local elections, they matter too, and people fail to realize that. Like, we will come out for these big presidential.
If you have kids in school, and if you exist in this community, you then right,
you have to.
But a lot of times we literally do just think that it's they decided it, because that's how we're conditioned. Yeah, we're an oppressed people. Yep. And we always kind of have the mindset of we just have to deal with whatever happens to us. We don't think that we can actually make effectual change.
Yes, I agree. I so agree.
But I wanted to circle back. So weren't you published in a New York Times?
I was.
Tell us a little bit about that.
I'm so
well, you know, you one of those people that ain't gonna brag on yourself.
So right, we got to toot your horn for you. Toot. New York Times. Yes.
Oh goodness, with just it still like brings tears to my eyes, because again, I still think like they could have picked anybody on this campaign. I was surrounded by some amazing women on the campaign, but my campaign manager is a white guy named Scott.
Hey Scott. Hey Scott. Shout out to Scott.
Right. He's like, no, you.
I'm like, Scotty.
Listen,
this was you. And I said, I just remember the look in his eyes, like, just believe in yourself. Like, I believe in you. And, yes, they picked someone, representative of the campaign, myself and a volunteer. And actually, they picked a couple volunteers, but myself and Misa Rogers were featured in the New York Times because they wanted to get just background of like all these women working and galvanizing, organizing for women candidates. It's been just like a huge amount of women candidates, a huge amount of women of color candidates, just running for all these positions. We still waiting on
Stacey Abrams.
Hello.
We stand with you, Stacey. Yes, we not even in Georgia, right?
That we stood her ground and said no.
Yeah. But you know what's crazy? So one of our listeners, during when the election was going on, she was like, man, I'm starting to lose hope. So I kept checking for Georgia to see what was going on, and she was down by like 7 percentage points. So it was quite the gap.
Right.
And I was just like, well, maybe they just didn't count the ballots from the minority communities yet. You know what I mean? Like, we don't know what they doing, right?
Yeah.
And so then the next morning I checked, and it was like 48 point whatever and 50 something. And I was like,
so the margin had closed.
We closing this gap.
For sure.
We closing this gap.
And I know even when we talked, I was like, she hasn't conceded. And she's not.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. Exactly. I texted you and I sent you the screenshot, and you was like, she hasn't conceded yet. And I was like, oh, okay. Listen. She ain't giving up. I ain't gonna give up.
Right. And we ain't even from Georgia.
Right. The fat lady has not sang. The towel has not been thrown in.
None of that.
We are not giving up. But she said, I'm not gonna stop till every ballot is counted. Every provisional ballot. Like, no.
All of them.
Because I think as long, and you can help me out with this, but if he gets to less than, if the percentage changes to where he goes less than 50%, then don't they have to like do a recount or a runoff?
Recount.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's what we got our fingers crossed for. But I think that's important as a country. That's our right to. This is how voting should look. Like we should have this right to stand up to say no.
But what would have happened? This goes back to your point of we have to be informed, right? We perish because of lack of knowledge, right? And so, what if she didn't know that? What if she would have conceded?
Hello.
That would have been so
because
sad.
a lot of people had already conceded.
Right. In the case of
Across
Andrew
the country.
Gillum, and I was really concerned with him. Like, why did he concede so quickly?
Yep.
Very quickly, and I was just like, bruh, like it ain't over yet. Like, don't throw in the towel yet. But I'm glad he was like, okay, let me go back.
Because I believe he
can
just
you
wanted to
renege?
recount.
He did.
Oh, you can renege.
You can renege.
You can renege.
Hey, I thought I had 5 books, but I don't.
Right, but I don't. Come to find out, upon further review.
But it's so bad. They finding provisional ballots just
Girl, I saw one earlier where somebody had got one returned. Like, they sent it, and it was returned to sender. Like, how can you not find the P.O. box that was addressed on the envelope? Like, what do you mean return, like, sender unfound? No, it's right here. So, yeah, it's some wonky stuff happening, and I'm glad that they're fighting and say, no, not until every vote
Come
is
on,
counted.
Jesus, get it to that less than 50%.
Listen.
I just watched an interview that she did when I was on my way in here, and she was just like, for those of you that supported me, thank you, and for those of you who didn't, you will have a second chance. And I was like, speak that thing. Yes. You better do it.
Yeah. So,
but back to the article.
Sorry,
that was quite the segue there. But you mentioned that there was an enormous amount of women, number one, women working and supporting these campaigns, women
actually running.
Yeah, women running. Tell us why it's so important this election for women to be involved in the capacities that they have been.
Government is just terribly incongruous to like how the actual country is. Like
being population wise?
Exactly. How are decisions made for people that don't look like themselves by like just white men all the time? That's mind boggling. I think there's been a political reawakening of everyone just noticing like, hey, that's not right.
Right.
Yeah, like this is not representative of the
That
population.
Kavanaugh stuff like really woke people up. Like, wait a minute. Because before, Supreme Court justices used to get like sworn in like overwhelmingly. Like RBG, she was sworn in like 96-3, like her vote. And Kavanaugh was like 50-48, something like that. It was really...
it was split like this.
Yes.
I didn't know that either. Which, I mean...
That's what I'm saying. Like,
we know
have to start really immersing ourselves in more political knowledge and more of an agenda-based movement instead of just like, oh, let's just go to the polls and that's it.
Right.
Like, there really has to be something that backs up our action.
Yeah.
It's important for women to be involved because, first of all, women, we bad. Like, we
listen, say it again. Put the people in the back.
Bad.
Yes.
Some bad mamma jammas. That's my nickname on my phone.
Listen, come on. It's our song too.
Just as foxy.
Listen, the Zeta soundtrack song.
It is.
But and to say that this country has been ran by men since its inception, quite frankly, and now it's like, you know, y'all been doing it for a long time. And y'all kind of ain't been doing it right.
Y'all dropping the ball.
Right.
Just a little bit, you know. Balls dropping.
Listen, we just gonna slide ourselves up on it.
People being incarcerated in mass numbers, unequal again to the population. Y'all trying to tell us what to do with women's bodies.
Exactly.
All types of stuff
all
going on.
kinds of craziness.
I remember my
healthcare. Okay, let me stop.
Yes,
girl.
But all those things are personal and they're important. And I think that's what needs to push more women into realizing their power.
Yes.
Like, these things are things that affect us all the time. Like, Badger Care, if you don't have it, you just out here with no type of insurance. That's what made me really get involved, I believe, 2010-ish. in elections was Badger Care, because I was pregnant in a mug, and I was like, if they take that away,
girl, lost. Right, because I was on Badger Care for a minute too.
Yes.
Like right when JR was pretty small, and he was just like, I need this children's community health care because we out here.
Like, someone's making policies that says nope, cut that off.
Yeah,
nope,
and I was still on my mom's insurance, and I didn't get hired at my job until I was like 26 or right when it was about to end.
Yeah,
and I was like, won't he do it? Look at God.
Yes.
Yeah.
Tammy actually was one of the forces behind making the law for children to stay on their parents' insurance until 26. Like,
thank you, Tammy.
Thanks,
right.
Tam.
She knew how important it was.
Well, now we friends. You know?
Right. We love you, Tam.
STB.
Hey.
I love that woman. Like, for real, she's, man, I still get speechless just like thinking about her. But like I said, it was just an amazing experience. Like, just seeing how much of a fighter she was, because you have to take into account also, as she was a candidate, she was still working in the Senate, like back and forth.
That's what women do.
Gwen Moore, you running as a candidate, but
bear the children, then get back to business.
And shouts out to Gwen
Beyonce.
Moore, because actually when Chanel and I were students at Marquette, we worked at the Phonathon, and that's where you call alumni and you ask them for money.
Oh, that job was...
We both hated that job.
That was the worst.
But nonetheless, so you were supposed to like be scripted and build rapport and do all this other stuff. I would call and be like, I'm calling to ask for money. Are you in or out? And then I would just move on, because I'm not about to sit here and be fake with y'all. How are you? And no, you giving?
Right.
No
or not?
All right, don't call you no more. Got it. Next. I happened to call Gwen Moore, and she was like, I will only give if you give it to the EOP
Yeah,
program.
I remember that. Yep.
Yes. And I was
so
like,
dope.
I was like, Gwen, I love you, Gwen.
Yes, we was like, yeah, because we EOP.
And
we
she was like,
this.
you make sure. She was like, look,
Don't
let
put
me
it to nothing
find
else.
out
Right. My money
that you
went
gave it
somewhere
to
else.
like the Blue and Gold Fund or something dumb like that.
Yeah.
You better give it to right. I don't care about that basketball team. I said what I said.
Listen, yes,
and I was like,
yes,
yes, ma'am. And that's when I fell in love with Gwen, because I was like, she's real.
Of course, yeah, of course. Wow.
So how do you think, so obviously, you know, we already mentioned that there was a big slew of women running and women just participating in the political effort. But how do you think all the other movements, are they connected, like the Me Too movement and the Time Is Up movement and all these other like kind of female empowerment things that have been going on? Do you think that those are related at all? Is there some type of correlation? Are women saying like, you know what? We tired of everything.
Yes.
We about to jump in.
Yes.
Or what's going on?
I believe everything is related. Like the momentum. When you see someone else, you see another woman stand up for herself. Like, that empowers you. That's like, some powerful stuff. Like for a person to tell a story that's so personal to them, like you said, referencing the Me Too movement, shoot, that made me want to come out with my own stories. But I was like, you know what? That's not, that's not what I want to do. What I want to do is support people that are telling their stories. You figure out the capacity that you are best at. And some people are best at just being that front face and saying, like, this is what happened to me. And this is what I want to do about it. And I feel like that's what strong elected officials running for something or strong candidates running for something are about. They're just like, this is what's happened and this is what I want to do about it. And then you have support. You have people behind them. Because people kept asking me, when are you running for something? When are you?
Have you gotten that bug yet?
And I'm like, no. What I would like to do is still support people that are running. I think that's what we lack, really, is hearing that voice that says, you can do this, and I'm going to show you how. Because now that I've been on the other side of a campaign, like, baby, you can't tell me nothing. I'm about to be like telling all kind of people, oh, look, you need to run because you have a strong voice about something. You about that action, and you can do it. Wow. And I think that's what we're missing. A lot of people just saying, you can do it.
You can do it.
Right. You can do it.
There are excellent programs around the state, like Emerge, that support, Democratic women running for office. You have Emily's List that supports Democratic pro-choice women to run for office. I actually start a program called Wisconsin Women's Network Policy Institute next month because that's what I want to get more into is learning policy and how to create policy because, again, like I think that's the real power is policy. People knowing how to lobby for things because that's another thing that Black people aren't that cognizant of. Like lawmakers are approached by lobbyists more than anything, more than community organizations trying to just say pass this law. And it's like that's backwards. Why are lobbyists, people who get paid plenty money, getting more of their laws passed in the community, people that work in the community.
Right.
It's scary, actually.
Yeah.
But if we knew more about how you got.
So how do we learn more about it? Like, how do we get our kids, our young folks, ourselves engaged and equipped to be able to lobby or or make the request that we need to make instead of what we do, which is sit back and complain about it.
Right. I think first thing is complaining. Yes.
Well, it starts there.
Right.
Step one. It's like, are you gonna boss up or complain? I'm gonna do both.
Or I'm gonna do
both. I'm gonna do both.
So first I'm gonna complain. That's step one. Got it.
Then you gotta find the right people to complain to. Like
that's it.
First, we talk about elected officials only coming around when it's time for elections. It's like they're sitting in their office all year round. Why aren't you calling them?
Not an email, not a phone call, just dry. Phone dry.
Right. Until November, because my phone was lit.
Become their best friends. Ooh. Like, you got to call them up and say, look, I need you at this, or I need to talk to you. I need to make an appointment at your office in D.C., or I need to come to your local office here and talk to somebody, because they always have constituency services, like people that listen and sit down and talk to residents in their areas. Then you have to find, like, the next level, like legislative study groups. Like, more Black people need to be part of those, like sitting in these groups, because that's how eventually they study and research what needs to come about. And there's probably getting ahead of myself, but I think Black people need to be more effectual with voting blocks. Like, I know that there's a two-party system and we largely vote Democrat, right? But who's to say that we can't come up with an agenda that says we need to talk to both sides and say, like, look, you got in office. Some of us voted for you. So I'm going to need you to do 1, 2, or 3. And then you look at, like, with Tony Evers and Mandela with this huge win, now is the time for us to be like, okay, right. So you know who got you in there, right?
And we had your back.
Holla at your girl.
Right. When you see me on the street, here we are.
We need to hold them accountable. And we also need to make sure that they have people like us around them. Like, they need to be responsible for appointing people that actually will be helpful in making laws and decisions with them. Because that's another thing. They get up in these positions and it's just all white people.
Yep.
Like, no, we're not taking that this time.
Yep. That disproportionate, like, we don't look the same. Exactly. You don't understand what I need and what I've been through.
Yep.
So yeah, we definitely need some conversations around that. What should that look like?
Right. Even in the campaign, it was largely white. Sheila and I were the only black people working on the campaign. And I'm gonna say, like, what do you think that does to you when you first get to a group of people and you're like, wait, we're all supposed to work for this common cause to get her reelected, and when you're just like, everybody doesn't look like me, that does something to you. So you got to get over that hump first. Like,
before you can even start asking questions and complaining. Like, right. You trying to look around the room to see if you got your little buddy.
This looks quite different. But Sheila and I, we, arm in arm every time, every meeting, just sitting there talking, like, every conference call. Sheila and Nadiyah.
Together.
And that's what you always need. Wasn't it like, working at in corporate, you always got to search for that one black person.
Yes.
Yeah. Like,
give him a little nod, like, all right, like, we together.
We got each other.
We in this together.
Exactly. But that's why I think I want to stay on this side,
the policy side,
the campaign life, and the policy side, because I think overall we're gonna learn to develop candidates who really represent us. Like, that's no question. People do that already. We already put up people that are like, you know what, this person is going to be the best person for the job. But it's just like the background of it. Like, what are these people telling the person that we put up?
Yeah.
If you don't have people that actually look like them around them, then it's all for naught. Like, it's a lost cause, because they're just going to have people in their ear all the time that just tell them things that got money and really just pass things that aren't really in our best interests. So that's why I said I think I really would prefer to stay on the background side rather than
for now.
And that's cool. So what do you do now that the election is over? Tammy is still our senator. Congratulations. So what do you do now?
And
That's
Mandela
everybody's
is the
question.
first black lieutenant.
Yeah, lieutenant governor.
Yeah,
he is.
I'm okay
for the state of Wisconsin.
I'm shamed.
Yes.
I never knew we had that position, like a lieutenant governor, and I was just like, what is this?
Rebecca Clayfish was the past lieutenant governor for Scott Walker. And she came from TV. Like, she was a TV anchor.
Really?
Well, you couldn't see it on her.
I mean, 45 was on TV, so.
Right?
Hey,
you know what? A lot of people fell for the okie doke with 45.
They did.
Like, and I won't even go into the whole thing about why Donald Trump came into the position he did, but
actually that's what I wanted to ask. So obviously you mentioned how important it is for women to be involved, right? We need to be represented, and we're not. One of the other things that we talked about was like kind of all these movements that are coming that kind of matriculated into us becoming more awake and saying, hey, let me get involved. But women, people in general have problems with women being in power. Women
Girl,
some women have problems.
yeah.
I call it the toxicity of sisterhood.
So, and I like that term, but even so, I was trying to figure out when Trump got elected. So what happened was I went to sleep. I voted, did all of that, and I went home with sleep. I was like, we got this in the bag.
Yeah, I was like, he not gonna win. I was totally like,
I understand that people were not pleased with either candidate, but in that instance, you just do the lesser of two evils and you move on. But Barack Obama said something when he came here to encourage people to get out and vote, and he said that what kills our democracy is indifference.
Yes.
And I'm like, you know what? That's true, because in cases where sometimes people don't know what to do, they opt to do nothing.
Yep.
And what ended up happening, in my opinion, in that election was some people were just like, nah, so I'm not going to vote. But then some women even were just uncomfortable with a woman being in power.
yeah,
Yep.
yeah. No, that's absolutely what happened.
So
that is what happened.
What are your thoughts on that? Like,
Well,
why are we
Or
having issues
Yeah.
with women being in power?
It's so sad. Like, just saying that, because that was one of the reasons why I almost didn't want to do the New York Times thing, was because, like, I didn't want that lens on me
Okay.
from other women. And I was just like, I'm about to have, these haters. It's like, I don't, that's kind of the reason why I tend to stay so much out of the spotlight, is because, once you get to a point of notoriety, you're going to have criticism from people. But then sometimes you got to just be like, to hell with that.
Right.
So I believe that there is just something innate going on with some women that hate on other women. Like, there's something going on with you.
Was it hate, or is it
They don't.
that's how we've been conditioned?
That's what
I
it
agree
is.
with
It's that
that
competition
too.
piece.
Yes.
That competition. And I think we did an episode on this too, how, women are so conditioned to compete with each other for like the spotlight of a man. So we doing it not for the betterment of us as women, but so that we can do it to please the man. And I think that conditioning goes into it, like, well, yeah, she got this, so right, yeah. So, and it's like, but no, like, let's work together. So it's like, we here, like, why do we need to compete with each other?
I was wondering more so, is it conditioning from a societally, you know what I mean, like in terms
I see
of
what you're saying.
like, hey, a white man is the one who needs to be in power. Like, some people,
like,
when
we
they get
can't
on a
have
plane,
Hillary talking to the president of China.
some people when they get on a plane, if it's not a white old man, they don't trust it.
Right.
Some people, when they,
That's a culture thing.
It's
Absolutely.
a culture thing. So I'm wondering if we've been conditioned by society that this is what power looks like, and Hillary is not that.
Yeah.
That could very well
Then
be
I
it.
also was like, did people lose faith in her because her husband cheated on her?
And that,
because I ain't gonna lie,
and that was
I was
me.
like, I don't know,
Yeah,
sis.
that was totally my
I don't know.
whole standpoint.
You should have got rid of
You
him.
can't even control your man. How you finna control the whole country, bro? Like, I don't know. But I voted for you anyway.
Right, I did too, And then I was like, girl, how many men cheated on you? Go ahead and vote Democrat and sit your butt down.
Girl, right, girl. You ain't none better than her.
It was so many factors that came into Hillary's loss. Like, one, she wasn't a strong campaigner. She didn't come to Wisconsin one time.
Wow.
She probably thought she had it in the bag.
And that
did.
that was the thing. She thought her entitlement to the presidency was going to get her there. And it's
That's
like,
the word.
no.
Okay.
I agree. I
No.
think
Wow.
she felt entitled.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because we kept saying Donald Trump just advancing, like, from the primary to, like,
I
wait a
didn't know.
minute.
I woke up the next day and I was like, I'm still asleep. This has got to be a dream.
It was totally Twilight Zone.
Because I legit went to sleep with confidence. Yeah. I slept good. Okay. I
had a smile
on my face. Right. Yeah. I was like, come on.
But Hillary is no Bill. So I don't know what made her think that she was about to finesse. Like,
but you know what? I think that she probably was just like, he's unqualified. Like, this is a shoo-in.
Sure.
You know?
But I mean, Ronald Reagan came from acting too. And there we have it.
But you know, but I think a lot of people was like, people who legit didn't even know what their political stance was just like, okay, political power looks like X. I'm going with X. I don't care what. I'm not even gonna look into Y. Right? I'm gonna go with X.
Yep. I agree that actually had something to do with it. It was just, you know, and we can't. And some people do that with black people. I can't vote for a black person. It's just a sexist and racist thing.
And a racist thing. And that's why, to me, it was so important that women be involved in this election on every level. Because if we don't have it here on every level, we're probably never going to get it.
Exactly.
Yeah. You know, when it comes to president.
For sure.
If we can't have it at the state level.
Yeah.
and we can, you know, man.
What did you think about, like, the stats between, like, men and women and black men and black women and white men and white women and how they voted? It was very disproportionate too. Black women are steadily like out here trying to carry everybody on their backs and pushing things forward for sure.
On our back.
Yeah.
It's crazy, that whole Trust Black Women hashtag, the movement of you know, Black women lead. It's because we're the ones who built this country. If you ask me, like, okay, our forefathers, all that language can go right out the window. We were there every step of the way, leading the charge from, you know, slavery, abolitionist movement to civil rights to suffrage. We were there every time.
Yep.
I think that we're just recognizing how much, like, we don't need to lead that group of support anymore. We can actually be the face of it. We can be that candidate. We can be that elected person.
Yeah.
And that's powerful.
It sure is. It is. It is a sight to see, and I'm definitely proud of the work that, you know, Black women continue to do, and now that we're being recognized for it, whereas before it was just like, okay, we doing all of it, but yeah, whatever, we gonna put y'all in the back. But now it's really like coming to face, like, it's Black women making this stuff happen. Like, come on, y'all.
Exactly.
But that's crazy. I just had a random thought, because again, and maybe that's why a lot of people in our community don't want to go into politics, because I feel like you have to have and this is just my ignorance about it, so I'll be honest about that, but you have to have some sort of like knowledge about it, and I'm not knowledgeable in what's in politics or policy or any of that. So I think maybe that's why a lot from our community don't want to go into it, because they think, well, I didn't major in this, like, I don't know anything about this, like, how can I share my voice when I don't have the knowledge?
Or they're going to dig up anything that I ever wrote online or blogged about or made a status about or tweeted. And
because the internet is real.
Me out the drive.
If I could pass the background, y'all can pass one, because I was like, wait.
No, the reason why I brought that up is because there was a young woman, and I don't remember the names or anything, but they pulled like a paper. So she had a strong stance about how women own their bodies, and we should, you know, people shouldn't be telling us if we can get abortions and all type of things like that. But apparently she in college wrote a paper about basically the opposite of her own argument. And so they pulled that up, and I'm like, hold on. She was in college. You know, in college, you're 18 to 22, you know, normally.
Wilding out.
Okay. This woman grew and evolved. How dare you bring up something that she wrote back then? Like, what the heck?
They will find anything.
And how you get it? Like, what professor? Because I will sue Marquette.
Right.
Leak one of my papers.
I'm just saying, like, if you are doing all that, take some of my student loans away.
Right. If you're going to write, why are you digging? Get rid of some of these student loans.
Delete a few.
Right.
Or, you know, change a grade or two. You know, whatever.
Listen.
To your question, Chanel, I think that's a hindrance, actually, just thinking like, oh, you need to have gone to school for this.
Yeah.
Or you need to have, you know, worked in this field for so long. You just have to have the passion for the people. Like, I think we always get hung up on qualifications. I do that myself sometimes because not having had graduated from college, like, you know, I always say, oh, I'm gonna just take myself out of the game immediately because they're looking for somebody with, you know, the bare qualifications of
what are the qualifications?
Degree.
Do you need a bachelor's degree?
And it's like, no.
You know what? I didn't know that.
I didn't know that either. I'm thinking like you need all this stuff, and then that
and I'm sure that there probably was a job description that said, look, the person we're looking for needs to have this. But then there's always, in lieu of, what experience can you bring to the table? One of my like best friends, Nate, you know, he's been by my side like throughout this entire ride, and he was always there pumping me up like, no, they picked you for a reason. You got this, and you know, stop talking about the degree and da-da-da. And I'm like, no, but I think they want, that's what they want. And it was never about a piece of paper that
Is
I got.
that the fear of being... So, okay, I think a couple things. We see... So, when I went to go hear Barack Obama speak about, you know, encouraging everybody to get out to vote, he was like, you know, we need to... Like, what happened to the integrity of politics? Like, people just lying and just saying stuff, and then the way that people that they're competing, right? Tweeting,
it's crazy.
Like, it's just really, it's unprofessional.
It is.
You know, it's really nasty, and it's like a distraction, and that's basically what he called it. It's
that's
like,
what
hey,
it is.
Look over here, so you can miss what I snuck in
Absolutely.
over there.
That's what it is.
And truer words have never been spoken. But we also saw, like, with the battle between Hillary and Barack Obama, how they dragged each other. Well, you know, I don't really think Barack did. But, you know, how just stuff like that, pulling birth certificates and doing stuff like that. Do you think that that's part of your fear? Is that somebody's going to be like, she didn't even go to school. She switched three. She switched to three.
I don't care.
Right.
I'll tell you to your
Right.
face.
There we go.
Listen, let me tell you what happened.
Listen, it's already out here on Brunch with Besties.
Matter of fact, I'm just going to send you the link.
Send you the link. I don't even need
I
to tell
actually
you.
want to be a proponent for people that haven't earned their degree. They in between blessings,
Yay.
like Sora said one day. Like, look, you don't know what that person's next step may be,
Right,
or what may
absolutely.
have, you know, hurt their chances back then to go to school. But in the meantime, let people do them. If they are qualified and have the skills to do what that job requires of them, let them work. We have such an elitist, like, purview of things sometimes where it's just like, you have to have this and you didn't graduate from that.
And the
like,
this that you have to have is always a checked box.
hello.
So it's not really pertinent. It's not going to necessarily advance you in that role.
Yeah.
It's a checked box. So
Yes.
back when I was in school, I ended up getting a degree in economics, but I kept switching majors like every 5 seconds. And I chose economics mainly because I didn't want to be in a box. And at first I wanted to go to law school. And, you know, and I was like, I can do business, I can do law, I can do nonprofit, like I can do whatever I want, right? And I remember specifically with studying economics, studying a lot about the healthcare and how it affects the economy. And I happened to be in college during the recession, you know, and so at one point I was like, oh my God, like I'm going to create change. I'm going to do this. But then it just looked like a mountain that I was like, I ain't going to be able to do this. Whoa. What the heck is this?
Right.
Oh, no.
Wait a minute.
Sit down, little black girl.
Right.
Get told off.
Right.
Like, wait.
But I agree, Chanel, that I think that the perception is because we see a lot of our political figures stand up with a lot of authority and a lot of conviction and
You think
just
they got
so
it from
eloquent.
Yeah.
And right, but I mean, I guess you learn as you go, right?
Right,
It's a platform that they're speaking on. Much like Brunch with Besties podcast.
There we go.
No.
We out here changing lives one episode at a time.
But at this point, after 45, I just feel like, hey,
Girl, we
shoot
can do
your
anything.
shot.
Listen, and that's me. That's been me.
Walker was governor for 8 years. And he
Yeah.
never
Was it
graduated from
8
Marquette.
years?
He never graduated from Marquette.
Really?
Like, never graduated.
Oh, I had no idea.
And I didn't realize he was our governor for 8 years.
Yes.
Lord, I completely like wiped him out.
zoned out?
I zoned out completely. Like, that was 9 years.
And,
wow.
he did Nadiyah's at her graduation. He did the
commencement speech. Yeah.
And I was like, so I got to sit through this? Like, is it rude if I leave?
Yeah.
Think she'll forgive me? I don't know.
I would have walked out. Like, let me go in the lobby while he's talking, because he's talking that trash. No, I'm just kidding.
Put up the finger and just tiptoe out.
That, I didn't realize he was our governor for 8 years. That's crazy.
Girl.
Yeah. And I'm zoning this presidency out too, so I don't know what's happening, but I'll just be like,
2020,
we gotta make it.
Ready.
Yes, we gotta make it.
Like you're saying, Sherry, so many people are getting involved with women. We just
rocking.
We have to do it. We gotta like really prepare ourselves for 2020. Like, it's already happening now. Like, people have been asking me, what are you gonna be doing? What's your next step? And it's like, I'm getting ready for 2020.
And it's exciting because that'll be 100 years since the suffrage march.
Exactly.
So that's gonna be lit.
But like you said, and getting ready for 2020 is happening now. So we can't just, obviously you're working, but when I say we, I mean the collective we.
Yeah.
Like, we can't just sit and wait till 2020 and be like, all right, I'm going to go out here. I'm registered.
And that's why these pieces now, like this midterm election, meant so much. And then, the one prior to that, like the primaries, like those mean so much. And you have to make sure that you're effectively like engaging in all of those tiny pieces, because it's a domino effect. You don't do one, it's gonna mess up the other.
Yep. The civic education needs to be happening now.
Yes.
What about for the people who are kind of against voting?
Yeah.
Who say my vote doesn't
say?
count, my vote doesn't matter, it's already rigged.
A la Nick Cannon.
It's gonna be what it's gonna be.
Nick Cannon, we need you to come to the altar, because he is one.
I'd be like, look at
voting.
What's happening in Florida and Georgia. All these votes do matter. Like, they are wrangling up votes from
they searching like it's the coins, right? Like, I need 25
like
cents.
Pokemon. You gotta catch them all.
Like, they is out here.
They got some golden tickets.
Wait, I found another vote. I found a ballot. You got one. Can I borrow a ballot? Like, that's what they doing.
But why they hoarding them? Like, why y'all hiding them though? Like, I don't understand. Voter suppression is real, and if you think your vote doesn't matter, then why would they go through all of these measures to make sure that your vote didn't matter?
Trying so hard to suppress the vote.
Goodness.
And it's just so important to man, I'm trying not to get that super political on this show, but
hey,
I don't believe in voter apathy. Like, I think people all the time disengage from the process for whatever reason. There was a time where I was just like, what? I don't know, and I don't understand. And this is probably when I first turned 18, 19, I was just disengaged. I really didn't understand. But Gore Lieberman actually did like a rally down the street from MSOE. That was like my first political rally I went to. And we all know how that ended up. That was a recount situation, and Gore lost, of course, and Bush got in. But ever since then, that's when I was like, oh, it does matter, like, how much, if it's even a little bit it benefits the democracy. Like, we need to be engaged. I was going somewhere with voter apathy. I think that, like, again, there are people that are going to say, I'm not voting and I don't care and whatever. Like, there was a man, he was yelling blatantly at Tammy. We were at Gallus Food on Tatonia Capitol. He was
what was Tammy doing on Tatonia Capitol?
I said, you need to
she got to go to the hood.
All the people.
Listen,
come on, Tam. See, that's why she Tam.
Listen, Tam. And that's why she got Nadiyah in her corner, because you got to come.
So you brought her out there and you probably had on your shirt that said, I do it for the hood.
For my people.
You was out there with your natural hair.
I was probably cuter that day.
Hey.
But
Tammy didn't know what was going on. Jesus,
she gonna learn.
She probably had some fried fish on bread, just a slice of bread
with the coleslaw on the side.
got toasted from the hot
Changed
fish.
her life.
Ooh,
She probably was like, I can taste grease. Like, just straight grease.
Oh
We
God.
had her on King Drive. We had her.
Yes.
Did you teach her how to swag
everywhere.
say?
Oh, did we ever do that? I don't know. I had her at church with me. Like, she was next to me at church. And, of course, I'm so emotional at church. And I just be crying. Tammy's like, everything's okay.
Listen.
And she was like, wow, your church is fantastic.
Yes.
I was
What
like,
church?
It is. I go to Tabernacle Community Baptist Church.
Okay.
All right.
Wait, what about grandma?
Pastor Don Darius Butler.
Yes, and my soror, Lakeisha Butler.
Yes. First lady.
First lady.
She's
wow.
amazing.
Yes.
She's so amazing.
That's where my
But
grandmother
yeah, we had
goes.
I had to calm this dude down because I was like, look, what is your problem? Because he's just yelling, I ain't voting until y'all get Trump out. And I'm like, y'all?
Right.
Let me holler at you.
See, this
Yeah.
is the
She
problem
said,
right
come
here.
step over here, sir.
Come sit down.
Why are you yelling? Like, why?
Let's start there.
And he's like, well, I don't know why she over here. And I'm like, because this is how candidates actually campaign. They connect with the voters. And he said, well, she ain't doing what I need her to do. And I'm still struggling and da-da-da. And I was like, look, all things can't be, taken care of in one day, but, it all starts with a single vote. Like,
Yes,
that's
it
all it
does.
takes. And I was like, why don't you have a conversation with her?
Yep.
Like,
And
let's-
learn what she's about and share with her your concerns. You don't got to yell
Absolutely.
at her because she's not
Exactly.
personally
Yes.
responsible.
And so I'm
And
not
understand that she's a person too. Like she's struggling too. Like we're
Right.
all people
I
out here.
said, I'm not going to guilt trip you for your vote. Like, that's
Yeah.
one thing I won't do. And like I said, I know people get apathetic every now and then and just totally disengage. But it is the candidate's job, in my opinion, to give them something to vote for.
yes.
Which is why I say, why don't you just have a conversation with
Yeah.
her?
Yes.
And if you're still irate, then okay.
Hey, you just mad.
Keep it moving.
Yeah.
But that's the beautiful part about democracy.
Yeah. How democracy should be.
Exactly.
The
We need to just give voters something to vote for.
for sure.
They need to, if their hope is all gone, we are responsible for restoring that hope, that
Yeah.
faith in the process, in the due process, that they're going to get what they've asked for. So I think that's what's been missing from the election process overall, is just people have lost that hope. Like, they're not connected anymore. So my job was to do that connecting from the community to Tammy.
To the candidate.
Yep.
That's awesome. What's your earliest memory of voting? I think you just alluded to it with the Gore Lieberman. And how did you get registered initially to vote? Do you remember?
I do remember. I remember watching a lot of commercials. A lot of commercials.
I'm sure they ain't nothing like how they are now. These commercials ruthless. And the calls and everything.
I remember like a little old nice black lady was standing outside of the library and she was passing out just flyers about voting. And I was like, what is this? What are you doing? And she was like, did you vote? And I was like, I don't know. I was like, I don't think I did. And she's like, yeah, I'm gonna need you to vote. Do you know where you vote? And I said, nope, I don't. Because 18, 19, I missed out on whatever elections was happening at that time.
Yeah.
In 2000, I was 20 years old. That was my first time voting. And I said, oh, wow. Like, this is what you do. Like, you have to look at that ballot at the time. I didn't know anybody's name. So I was just like, this is bad. And so I felt bad myself, not knowing the candidates that were on the ballot. Like, all I knew was Gore. Because I think it was the primary to get him to get the Democratic
On the
nomination.
ballot.
Right. But I was like, I don't know anything else that's happening here. And so I guess I guilted myself. Like, oh, I need to be more engaged. I need to learn more about who's running for these aldermanic seats, who's running for state treasurer, who's running for this. And because I had no idea. And then that's when I started thinking, like, this stuff affects me, even as a student.
Yeah.
And, like, this is what ties to this. And I think I'm fortunate to have understood that at the young age of 20.
Yeah.
Because some people don't get it.
for a while, for
For
sure.
a long time.
Yeah, that's true. I remember in high school, our civics teacher, or I don't know what she taught, maybe it was civics or something, but she registered, like, whenever we would have birthdays at school, like, she would give us the voter card, like, the registration. So for your birthday, she would be like, hey, happy birthday, here's sign up to register to vote.
Time to do your civic duty.
That's beautiful, though.
So yeah, that's how I got registered at school, because she was like, yeah, you 18, it's your birthday. So yeah, we did it there. And that was like 2005, so I don't remember what was there. There was no election, but I think the year after, no, 2008 would have been the next one. But I think there were some like local ones, and I was like, oh, I get to vote. But again, like you, I didn't know any of the candidates. I was just excited to do my job.
I don't know if I registered. I don't know if I registered until Barack Obama.
Really?
I don't think so. I mean, I don't know. It's possible. But I do know, well, I just remember that when Barack Obama was running, maybe it was the primaries. I don't know. But either way, I know that I had to register him. So,
yeah.
I just remember being in line with all them students.
Yes, it was crazy.
And then I remember I worked third shift. And I remember, so I was up. And then when I saw that he won, I was like, oh my God.
It's so awesome because this like makes me so smile inside, like knowing that, you know, he was elected 10 years ago, because I was pregnant when in 2008, like when this was happening. So I'm like rubbing my belly like, baby, we about to have a black president. Like, this is crazy.
That was so amazing.
And
to me.
yeah, now to look at my son almost 10 and be like, wow, like how times have changed. Like those 10 years was amazing, but now look at where we are.
I do remember like 2008.
Ooh.
2012 stands out in my mind more because I remember MPHC actually hosted like a watch party, and that's when I was president of MPHC. And I was like, we need to do something with the election. We need to, you know, make sure we're all in one room when it happens, because that was how I felt from 2008. Like, I don't know where I was, but I was just like, I should have been with somebody.
Right. Where's my memory?
Yeah.
But
I remember
2012, I do remember we were at, what was that? The One Sports Bar.
Oh, okay.
And we all saw it, like CNN projected Barack the winner for re-election. And I was more engaged. I remember that election cycle too, because I was volunteering with OFA, Organizing for America.
Nice.
And it was a little sub group called Yes We Can, and we were wearing T-shirts and all that stuff. It was powerful. Like, a lot of people were just behind Barack off GP.
Yeah, and it was very powerful, because I think in both of those elections, 2008 and 2012 was 2008 was probably the first time that my mom had ever voted in her life.
Wow.
So it was really important to be like, hey, did you go vote? And now I'm so like cognizant of it, to be like, even for these small elections, Mom, did you go vote? Like, make sure you go do that.
Right.
Because before, she had that mindset where she was like, well, this don't matter to me. Like, I don't care. My vote doesn't count. Like, I don't need to vote. But then I think what Barack Obama did, whether you like him or not, you liked his platform or not, whatever, but he did instill hope that America is a good country and we do have this right to get out here and vote. And I think that is beautiful that he sparked that in people to be like, okay, well, I do want my vote to count, and I do trust that, you know.
He definitely created a shift in a wave. A shift in a wave. That was the biggest young voter election turnout, I believe. And I remember even my niece, she was 2, and he was on TV, and she said Obama, and I was like, you can't say Sherry.
But you can say Obama.
Right. You know, because she's called me niece. she ain't never called me Sherry. But I'm like, well, you know this name,
but you don't know my name.
That's how Kayla was with Trump. I said, Trump. She was like, Donald Trump. She was 2 when he
and it's crazy because when that election was happening, I was teaching in North Carolina, and North Carolina has a huge Hispanic population, and I feel like I had 20 kids in my class, at least like 18 of them was Hispanic, and their parents had just come to this country, and they were freaking out, which is so sad that I'm working with first graders, and they were all like, yeah, and my parents are gonna have to go back to Mexico, like, I'm scared that he's gonna send my parents back. And I was just like, babies. Like, let's hug. Like, this is so awful.
Did you see that this year for Halloween there was a school where the staff and some of the students dressed up as the wall?
Yeah,
that was going to keep.
How insensitive!
Like, I was like, but I don't understand. You're a grown adult, and nobody said this wasn't okay. So somebody had an idea. And said, "Hey y'all, this is what we should do."
So all the
nobody
staff did
said
it.
No, it wasn't all the staff, but some of the staff
thought that it was a good idea.
Yes.
Like,
to create a wall, and they're smiling in the picture. Like, it's ridiculous. It is absolutely ridiculous.
And I think the thing with all of this, and Charlamagne said it best, like, you know, the climate that we live in right now is ridiculous. It's crazy. However, I do feel like I'm glad y'all out, y'all loud and proud. Like, hey, how do we go from here? Because now we know where y'all stand, and y'all bold about it.
Identify yourselves.
Identify yourself. That's all we want to know. Because if you my doctor or somebody who's caring for me, and I know you feel like this, we need to work this out on the table. I need to know how to act
accordingly.
Right.
Exactly.
So identify yourself, come out the closet. Right. Be as racist as you want to, so we know who you are.
This silver lining is perfect. Now we know. We can call you out, and we will act accordingly from there.
Exactly. So. And that's how I feel. I'm like, we can't just not do anything. Me, my friends, family, we can't afford to no longer not do anything. Mm-hmm. And action is basically giving up. And I refuse to give up.
Yeah.
Like, I refuse it. Like, I will go to my grave, like, saying, no, I fought for something. And that's what, you know, revolutionaries are. You believe in something until your death. Like, look, we got to fight for our democracy back. Because these people are wilding out here. They are wilding.
Yeah, they wilding out.
Completely. Like,
wild.
It's like the Twilight Zone. Like, to think how far we've come, and yet we haven't come far enough. It's definitely history repeating itself in the worst way at this point.
You're just like, wait, you thought that was a good idea to do that?
I looked at it as, you know, with Barack coming out of office, that everybody was like, all right, y'all was being too black. like for real, like, we got to pull rank.
Came back.
They
came back with
a vengeance. Like, they was like in my mind, it was intentional. Like, it was like, all right.
They had the Tea Party.
All the black people sit y'all stuff down. Right.
His administration, they're like, no, we gonna show them.
Yeah, like, we gonna come back with a vengeance. And that's why they was like, all right, Trump, we rolling, because he mean business, right? He'll fire you in a minute. He ain't playing. Like, let's go.
But then not only that, they came out to vote, but then they have these really ill-advised ways of, like, cheating the vote, which with suppression, the disenfranchisement, and then they have gerrymandering, which is another low of, let's cut these maps, these districting maps, in a way that even if an overwhelmingly amount of Democrats came out, we still gonna win. That is what we're facing right now. Wow. It's just like, they are that good at policy and just, like, passing things without our knowledge that it's like, okay, we really have to fight back hard.
It's kind of like lawyers, right?
We gotta wake up.
Where it's like, hey, if you know the loopholes and you know the law, you can make it work in your favor.
Exactly.
If you know it. But if you don't, then hey, you're at the mercy of those who do.
Yep.
Yeah.
So
you gotta wake
up.
Man,
wake up.
You gotta wake up. Listen, yes. Back to school days. Yeah. Wake up. Come on, y'all. Wake up for sure.
Wake up. Please wake up.
Goodness. Yeah, because this dream it's been long. I'm ready to get out the Twilight Zone. So we got some work to do.
We do.
Collectively, we all have work to do. Yeah.
It all starts here with the Brunch with the Besties.
All right
now. There was a black collective put on by, I believe it was actually put on by Delta Sigma Theta, but a lot of the sororities and fraternities supported it. I was there. And some of the candidates who were running unopposed showed up, and they were basically like, it's my job to hear from y'all. I'll work for y'all, and you need to know what I stand for. So just because no one's contesting me, it's still my duty to be in front of y'all and hear what you need. And I was like, yes, to the black sister who said that. I can't recall her name.
Was it Lakeisha?
Yep.
Myers,
yes, it was. Yes. And then, Mandela walked in and stole the show. And we was like, we basically was like, who.
Cheering them on.
Right.
Mandela.
You know, in so many words.
He did great. Like, he came out as a strong candidate this time.
He did.
One of the things that he said at the rally with Barack Obama is he said, you know, vote for the people who can't. And, like, that touched my soul when he said it, because he started naming all the people who can't. And he was like, you know, the millions of black men who are incarcerated or who have felonies. You know, for our brothers and sisters who are illegal, you know, who can't do it. Like, he just started naming the whole list of people who can't, and I was just like, oh my God, like, we legit take this for granted.
Yeah, and that's another form of voter suppression. Like, most of the felons are black people, black and brown people, so that takes a huge chunk away.
They can't get no student loans and they can't vote.
Right, so it's just
like,
a mess. But what was on the ballot in Florida that passed, and now felons can vote, right?
Yes.
Oh, really?
Yeah, in Florida
and Louisiana.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's
they should be able to vote.
They should. They really should. Like, because
it's not automatically restored like Wisconsin, where if you get off paper, then you have your right to vote back. A lot of places are like, no, once the felon, you just not gonna get your right to vote back. And
wow, I didn't know that about Wisconsin, but once they're off papers, then
I wonder if inmates know that.
Probably not,
because they used to use scare tactics back in the day, that, you know, once you got out of jail or you got off parole and off probation, if you voted and they found you again, you know, you're back to jail.
Oh no.
Yeah, so that's why a lot of felons don't vote, because they're just like, no, I don't want to mess with it.
Right, they're just trying to be low key,
right?
Stay
and
off
it's
the
like,
radar.
No, you can vote.
Wow. Yeah, they don't know that, because I didn't know that either.
I didn't know that either.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's
well, now that we're exposed,
right.
now
come on, about to go to these jails and go
Let's
to these
do
halfway
it.
houses and
Come
get some people
on,
registered to vote. Come on, y'all.
they really should have, like, they in jail, they should legit be passing out ballots
For
like,
sure.
for real.
Come on, y'all. Let's get this.
Halfway
Like, that should be a voting site.
Listen, the halfway house. Let's get you voted.
That should be like a voting site.
Yes, it should be.
Well, they've stigmatized them so much where it's like, oh, I don't want to mess with
Oh
it.
my goodness. Come on, brothers. We need y'all to make this vote, because, you know, black women, we out here doing our part. We need everybody on board.
Yeah.
So
I listened to Reggie Jackson, who's like the head griot of the America's Black Holocaust Museum. And he's a phenomenal speaker and a historian. So he traced back how the number of people that were disenfranchised in 2016, he traced it all the way back to, like, the first black man voting in Wisconsin, and how all these efforts to suppress the vote throughout the years since, like, 1847 have just doubled up until 2016. For that 22,000 number of people who didn't vote, or the 22,000 votes that Trump won the state by, like, he traced it all the way back to that. So if y'all ever get a chance to, like, go to an event, please go and listen to him, because he breaks down just, like, the history of this state and its racism and what they do to basically Reggie Jackson. He's amazing. I friended him on Facebook. So I felt special.
I need to too. At the Black Holocaust Museum?
Yes.
And that's open now, right?
No,
it's not
I don't
open
think
yet?
it's open yet.
Oh, okay.
They have like a grand opening sometime.
I feel like they keep having stuff there, so I keep getting tricked. Like, it's open? Okay, no, it's not open.
And then, like, so that's part of, like, how I educate myself about the history, because we can't move forward in this state truly without acknowledging its racist history.
For sure. This country too,
right? But Wisconsin is bad.
Yeah,
like,
for sure. Yeah.
And then, like, I also attribute a lot of my education to listening to pods, because I don't watch the news so much, but I listen to different pods that help, you know, bring me up to speed to what's going on around the country. One is The Daily, which is very politically based. I listen to Pod Save America, which are, it's like two of the hosts used to be former, like, staffers, I believe, campaign staffers for Barack Obama.
And they have a show, like, now they have a show now.
Yes. They are so good. And they actually put together a series that I listened to before I took this job, called The Wilderness. So they explained and broke down every single aspect of why the Democratic Party lost for 2016. I just encourage everybody to check it out because it's so powerful and how it breaks it down on, like, it wasn't just Hillary saying I got hot sauce in my bag or, you know, Trump being terrible. It was just like the party just needs some reimagining. Like, we need to go through a big change where we're not just putting up these candidates who just forget about black people, who forget about their base once they get in office. So I encourage that very much. That's what I do, like, all the time is listen to pods. My daughter is usually like, Alexa, turn off.
No more pods, Mama. Turn on Baby Shark. What is called?
Show. Alexa, no.
Oh, her little tech savvy self.
She is too much. But having a kid, that changed my life. Like, man, if I wasn't a mother, I don't know what I'd be doing. But I'm so glad that I am.
Yeah.
Like, she's what gives me that extra fight, actually.
Right, because you like, my child got to grow up in this world. We going to vote. So
right.
We
got to be out here. Do you take her to many rallies and things?
I do.
Okay.
Yeah. With this job, not so much because it was my job to be there and not, you know, be distracted by running after a 5-year-old. But, yeah, Kayla's been everywhere. She goes to, you know, pro-abortion meetings. Like, she's heard it all. Like,
good.
And I'm glad because I think, you know, my dad did that to us in his own little way, bringing us to little nation meetings.
Yep. Hey.
And, you know, always constantly, like, drilling in us how important it is to educate yourself about this country.
Wow. So. And to think of the force that she'll be when she becomes a woman. That's awesome.
Right. I hope she does.
Little Angela Rye. She gonna be out here for the people. I love it.
Why, Kayla?
Yes, she's so cute. And your twin, totally your twin.
She is. People are like, that's your daughter. Like,
yeah.
As soon as they see her.
Cannot deny her at all.
Can't go on Maury. Like, that, Maury. That's not my
That's
baby.
your baby. Lord. All right.
Alrighty, so what goes in the to-go box?
This is a great conversation and obviously right on time. I know a lot of people are talking about voting and the importance of it right now, but I know we needed to do our part too. And, you know, I'm glad that you were able to come on and share your thoughts and your backgrounds on the importance of voting. So I'm going to take away that, you know, we need to get engaged. And again, to shout out our organization, it is a hashtag Zetas Get Engaged.
That's
and
right.
I think we are doing an awesome job of making sure that we are out there and not only doing our part to vote, but really understanding who we're voting for, their platforms, and making sure that we're supporting other people in doing that as well. So that's my takeaway. Just continue to be engaged.
Yes.
My takeaway is more of a question. What should people be doing now? So the elections are over for midterms, but what should they be doing to prepare for 2020?
There's so much that you could be doing. Well, pay attention to these local races coming up. Like the aldermanic ones and state rep and state senator races will be coming due soon. So those are very important because these are the people that we send to Madison. Aside from the aldermanic representatives, these are people that we send to Madison who will vote for things that go to Tony Evers or against what Tony Evers wants. So we need to be up in their faces or just rallying behind them when we know that they have the best interests for us. We also need to hold Evers and Barnes accountable. I think that, we helped them get to their seat. So there's actually an event, a post-election accountability forum from Milwaukee Urban League Young Professionals called What's Next. And it's on November 15th. That's a Thursday. And I believe that's possibly their general body meeting, or is it prior to? I'm not sure, but it's November 15th. And it's the start of let's talk about an agenda. Because one of the things I picked up from working on the campaign was when I was meeting with different constituency groups with Tammy, they were happy that she actually came and listened to them. But it's like, okay, you listening to us now, but what you gonna do after November 6th? Because something needs to happen.
Yep.
And
this is one of those things that needs to happen, is collectively finding an agenda.
So on the 15th, the Urban League is hosting a What's Next event in which the general public can come together and decide on an agenda. That will ultimately be taken to Barnes and to Tammy Baldwin.
That's what we imagine it to be, and I hope that that's what it really will be, is that it's not just going to fall on deaf ears or something.
And then people going to complain about what they didn't do.
Exactly.
Right.
And I think with the right people in place, because there's some gatekeepers in Milwaukee, low-key, that are fine with the status quo. And I won't name any names, but it's time for them to go, too.
But she going to tell us after. No,
We'll just edit it out. No.
Edit that out, dude.
But that's what I'm on. I'm on real power and real action, because I've basically had enough of the status quo and things staying the way they have been for so long, and people electing who's next instead of who's best.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's awesome.
Any final thoughts?
No, well, like Nadiyah just
amazing.
said. Oh, thank you. Thank you. We are so glad that you were able to come on today. But like you just said, just be aware of what's coming up, what's next to come. These midterm elections were not the end. We still got a lot of work to do. So just make sure you are aware.
I did have one other thing.
Go ahead.
This past election cycle did have one saddening point for me. I saw a lot of angry white women coming into the office all the time and giving their time, their money, sometimes a shirt off their back, you need this, you need that, bringing food, calling all the time, going and do doors. That voting to me is the lowest level of engagement that you could be in. But that organizing, actually going out and doing doors and calling people, actually engaging with voters, is something that I would love to see more black people doing, more black women doing, because that's the power right there. The power comes with the volunteers and the people that galvanize behind the candidate, because they're the ones who really win the votes. And that's my favorite part, is going out and doing doors. That's how you feel the pulse from the people.
I wonder why. So I totally get what you're saying. One of the things that I learned a long time ago is that the first people to volunteer are always white women, then white men, then black women, then black men.
Yes.
That's literally the order of operation. I don't know why. It
is.
just is what it is. Shouts out to my sorority. We adopted a pole. We worked it all day and all night. And I know obviously Zeta was out there doing a lot of work as well. I think a lot of the sororities and fraternities in different groups were, but just in general, we typically don't.
Right.
And I wonder why, being that our country was literally created this way, I wonder why voting day isn't a day off. I wonder why churches don't really, unless the candidate is there, they don't typically, not even that they need to pick a side, but they usually don't even say like, hey, make sure you go vote. You know what I mean?
My church did. Like, Pastor Butler do not play. He was one of the Souls to the Polls churches, and we actually went canvassing in the community because we're in 53206. So we actually took volunteers out into the community and knocked doors. But like you said, there is...
Like, I wonder why there isn't just... Why it's not something that our nation does.
Yeah.
Right? Because this is how...
What we do.
This is what we created.
Yes.
Like, we created this type of democracy. So I wonder why even... You know, from a working standpoint, why we just don't have the day off, because the expectation is that you're at the polls.
Exactly.
Either working and or voting.
Or volunteering. Like, you should be out
Yep.
there.
But that's what I'm saying. Like, I just wonder why our nation isn't structured in a way that supports it.
That makes sense.
You know, because
that is
because
good.
in order to do what you're saying, you have to have the resources. So if you're a white stay-at-home mom, then hell yeah.
You can
give all your time.
Give all your time and all your money.
That's
all
what I
of
was like, oh my God, they can do this because they're retirees.
But I know a lot of people, you know, if you're an hourly employee, some people were losing time, some people were losing money, some people had to use a vacation
because
day.
it's 3 hours unpaid.
Right.
Is the
And
time
some
to
people
vote.
can't, if you, like you said, I'm a pro-black woman, if you a pro-black woman, you can't lose your 3 hours. You know what I'm saying?
Or going on your lunch break, so then you don't eat.
Right.
It's
hungry.
I just
get a headache.
I feel like
man.
I feel like a lot of times when we get behind efforts like that, it's very sacrificial. You know what I mean? In more ways than one.
I agree with you. I agree.
Because some people, you know, at the polling site where I was, a lot of people went through a lot to get there. A lot of people have been to 2 or 3 different places. Like, it was just like so difficult for them to do something that supposedly our country was set up to do.
Like, oh no, you need to go over here. What? That happened to me one year. I got to a polling place. They're like, oh, you need to go home and get something. And I was like, if I go home, I'm not coming back.
And you know how we are. Once the satin cap is on, satin
Yeah.
cap is on.
I can't go back
Once I get to the house,
outside.
I ain't coming back out. You know, like
And in November, that's that weather where it's just
Yeah.
cold. I ain't coming back outside.
Right.
And I mean, and not to make it sound like we're lazy voters, but I think that we fight so much every day with so many different things. And when you're trying to elect to do something that's voluntarily, you know, something
Right.
that you want to do, then it's like, man, forget it.
Yeah.
You know?
I agree with you. I do agree with you. But then
I just think it becomes very burdensome. And
does.
it shouldn't be.
does.
Literally, our society should be built to support the system that we create.
I love that.
that we put in place.
I love that. And, you know, that could be a law. I was fighting with my ex the other day. He was saying some off-the-wall stuff. I was like, because he said something about, that should be a law. And I was like, well, you have the power to make that a law. Like, you could, you know, organize the people.
It should be like a paid day off.
It
like,
should
for
be.
real.
It should be a paid day.
Yeah, because the assumption should be that either you're making your way to the poll or you're somehow supporting the effort.
Yeah.
Yes.
You know what I mean? In some capacity.
Exactly.
So
I agree with you 100%. And unfortunately, until that is supported, you know, we're just going to have to find some time on
our own. Unpaid. To get it done.
Some of them, you know, when it was warm out, you could go out and do doors at 6 o'clock. But you know, it started getting colder and darker earlier. I remember I was doing doors on election day, and I was like, "Oh, it's dark." And
it was dark early.
And it's a wrap.
Yeah.
And I know me, if people knock on my door, if I didn't invite you, I ain't gonna answer.
What do you want? Yelling at me. I gotta call ISIS. I gotta call
That's not funny. People are nuts.
People are mean. And there's Hustle. The Hustle app where you can just text people. That's an easy way to volunteer. Just text people.
Yeah, I got those texts.
Y'all be mean.
It was like, mine was like, you know, iPhone was like, maybe Stephanie. Then it was like, hi, Sherry, this is Stephanie.
I was getting all
Can we count on you to vote? And I was like,
but I was texting right back, like, hey, I already voted. Did early voting.
I text back, stop.
See, Sherry was with me. I was engaging, like, hey, I already did early voting. And they was like, great. Do you want to send this invite to friends? I'm like, yeah, send it to them too. too.
So yours sent it to me? That's what that was? Because I was like, first of all, I already voted. That's number one. Number two, I'm working the polls right now, so you're kind of like, you know, disrupting what I'm trying to do.
Bruh.
And number three, how did you get this number?
Listen, I was sending him invites like a mug, like, hey, here are my contacts.
He said, yeah, call Sherry.
But that's what he was mad about. That's so invasive, and people should be texting people. I'm like, you can make a law if you want,
Right, and stop all that.
Stop it.
But no, people were hilarious though with some of them, like writing them back, like, "Hey, you got a Samsung? Like, don't text me." Like,
Lou said, if he has an iPhone, then I'll vote for him. But if he doesn't, then no.
Don't text me with these green bubbles. I was like, "Oh Lord, people are just funny." I was engaging and telling them like, "Hey, I already
thank
did
you.
my early voting." Yeah. Hey, I'm glad they stopped though, because I was really like, "Come on, y'all." And I was getting calls and everything. Like, they would leave me voicemails, all kinds of stuff.
I didn't answer the calls.
I was texting hard, like, I work for a campaign. THX. Not even a full thank you. THX.
Oh God, no, I ain't answer no calls. Y'all know I don't talk on the phone anyway. So
exactly, I was like,
I'll text you back, but I ain't gonna answer.
Maybe Stephanie. I was like, hold on,
maybe.
Hilarious.
Smartphone get too smart.
Too smart. Oh gosh.
Alrighty, y'all.
Okay, that was I'm done for real.
All right. Thanks for tuning in to Brunch with Besties podcast. Until next time,
peace. Thanks, guys, for listening to Brunch with Besties podcast. Be sure to find us on iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, iHeartRadio, now YouTube, and Google Play. Basically, we airware. Don't forget to subscribe to us on iTunes. Leave us a review and rate us. We would so appreciate that. Also, if you have any questions or comments, feel free to find us on Twitter. Our handle is BrunchWBesties. On IG, you can find us at Brunch with Besties Podcast. And if you'd like, you can shoot us an email. Our Gmail is brunchwithbestiespodcast@gmail.com. Thanks for listening. Peace.